Wow. 10,000 likes. Holy crap. What a big day. Let me fix the chat, Get the chat on screen. Oh, that's not the right one. Here we go. Properties. Got to take out the old URL. Pop out chat. Copy this one. Control C. Paste it. Control V. 13 likes. Wow. At the beginning of the stream. New record. Okay, there's chat right there. Here is the video. Okay, good. It's all set up. All right, let's sort of do a little bit of a stage setter for what's going on right now. So, the Brie Joy Gray and Benjamin Dixon drama. If anyone's on Twitter, you know what the hell's going on right now. It's a really unfortunate series of events with this whole force the M4A vote discussion. So, Benjamin Dixon is being called a lib by all of Twitter. Brie Joy Gray and Benjamin Dixon are butting heads. The video we're going to watch is Benjamin Dixon going on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar to talk about Jimmy Dore and also Brie Joy Gray, but the argument and the big conflict here started with this video. So here it is. Let me unmute real quick so you can actually hear it.
Try my best not to attack black folks and give them space, but Brie Joy Gray has jumped into this conversation as well. And she is coming on the side of, like she traditionally does, like, I have a complicated relationship with her in the sense of I consider her a colleague, but I also consider her wrong on a whole lot of issues. And this is the issue that she's wrong on. And she continuously is wrong on this issue. And she continuously serves the role as a black person who would be the spokesperson for white progressiveness that has not done away with their white supremacy. That role was mine, and I obviously turned it down. I try my best not to attack black folks.
She was really mad about this. And here's what pretty much happened here. I don't care to hear anything but an apology, so I guess they talked on the phone, and she doesn't want to talk live, so we will never know what was actually in that conversation. Really interesting stuff going on. Twitter is really toxic in general. Very fun stuff, This is what you want to see out of people. And I saw like Kyle Kalinske make this meme. Leftists fighting each other, watching other leftists fight each other. These big content creators, they're throwing money in the ring, chanting it on. That's not the word. Cheering it on, not chanting. I guess you can chant if it's like a ritual or something. But they're cheering it on, watching the left fight the left. And I thought that was funny because Kyle Kalinske literally proposed a plan that took a couple minutes to make. And when he proposed it, he said, if you do not agree with my plan, then it's mask off for you. You're not a true progressive. So isn't that the person, starting the conflict and starting the divide in a sense? If you bring up a plan, if I say to you guys like, hey, I have a plan for how to do something with progressive politics, it's organizing. And if we do this, it might be a good idea. It might not be a good idea. I just thought about it last night. But, I know I'm, saying this to you right now. I'm asking for your opinion. If you say no to my strategy, just saying, you're probably not a real progressive. Mask off for you, my friend. Like, am I acting in good faith with that? I don't really think so, but. So the video, Benjamin Dixon tears apart Jimmy Dore's embarrassing AOC rant.
When the idea was first floated by Jimmy Dore, when the idea was first floated by Jimmy Dore, and it's gotten a lot of attention for him, and I'm
which by design, So.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
He's got to pay for that house somehow.
I don't know if it's necessarily by design as much as it is like sort of the same way that Trump works. It's just sort of like,
that's a big debate. Like, did Jimmy Dore do this as a grift to help his brand? I don't think so. I think Sam Cedar's more correct. It's like a Donald Trump thing. He's being like this and using this rhetoric because that's who he is. And bringing that attention to Jimmy Dore is his specialty. It's part of who he is.
He has some psychological things that sort of drive him in this fashion. And then it does.
To fixate on one particular point, and if you don't do this exact thing that I say, you're not pure enough like me, the one who berates every.
But what level of absurdity is it for this conversation to have been about this one guy? Like, it's pretty pathetic of a statement of the left that Jimmy Dore is the hill they're going to die on up against the squad. To me, that's a level of absurdity that is so destructive to the left. Like, come on, folks.
I've been encouraged to see, and there are some people who I respect who have not, denounced a lot of this childish fixation on one particular vote, which I think, now that I've thought about it, could be more counterproductive. A caller the other day pointed out how Mitch McConnell really wanted us to bring Medicare for All or Mitch McConnell wanted Bernie Sanders' vote on Medicare for All, which hadn't happened after he had all those co-sponsors, basically because he knew it would fail. So he could rub it in the faces of the Democrats.
One of the big things people have trouble with about progressives, like Democrats in general, is that progressives seem to not be able to get anything done. So I do think having a big loss, a House vote that would fail, 100 to like 330, I think that's a really bad optics thing for progressives. In Georgia right now, for example, if you look at polling data, many Georgia Democrats are really for progressive policies, but they feel like they can never actually happen because progressives never seem to know how to govern, how to hold political power, and how to implement policy. So in Georgia, of all places, there's so many people, mostly people of color, who have been voting Democrat their entire lives. And Georgia just now flipped blue. They don't want, Medicare for all right now because they don't think it can happen. They will literally take anything that is an improvement over where they currently are. In a state right now where most of our states in this country fail to expand Medicaid, it's a really hard sell to those people to say, you know what, we're going to drop everything. We're going to drop Obamacare and start all over pushing for Medicare for all. It is a really hard sell. That's why, although many people say they support Medicare for all, many people also say they support the public option. And if you ask, would you rather a candidate push for Medicare for all or push for a public option, they might see that public option as a quicker route to get something better. Even if they think Medicare for all might be cool, they say, you know what, Medicare for all, I would try it, but public option seems more realistic. And for people who already have healthcare, they feel less threatened by public option as well.
And then set it back. I mean, I'm not fully opposed to a vote on Medicare for all, but it's 25th down the list of priorities, if at all a priority, because we need more members before we can actually gain momentum on that topic. There's so many more important things.
There was value in the idea of leveraging that vote. And the problem was, and when I first heard this idea, that's my feeling was like, there's value in leveraging the vote. I don't know if the Medicare for all vote is necessarily the vote, the thing to go for. I think at the time I said maybe it's committee things. Wanted to take a little bit of
minimum wage, which
take a little
more members agree on.
Yeah, I mean, take a little time, look into it, and then you get a response from at least one of the key figures that you want to pressure, and they say, committee seats might be better. And instead of like engage,
AOC just got kicked out of a spot too on this one committee. I guess like Nancy Pelosi made sure she didn't get the spot she wanted. So when it comes to withholding a vote, I think AOC should withhold a vote for something like that. But Medicare for all, doing this strategy with Medicare for all, I think would hurt the possibilities and the prospect of American healthcare improving for the long term, because it makes progressives look ineffectual like usual. And, you need a concerted, organized effort to do a big plan like this. And AOC is literally the only progressive in the House willing to speak out against Nancy Pelosi. Jimmy Dore is attacking AOC, but these other members of the House who are in the Progressive Caucus will not come out against Nancy Pelosi in any regard. At least AOC says, they need new party leadership. Other Democrats are pretty unwilling to even do that.
With that and saying, okay, you're on one part of you're on the inside, we're on the outside. You have a better sense of like how things work there. Yeah. And what might actually bring material benefits to people.
Well, that would require an ounce of humility.
Well, but it's not just, look, it's not just Jimmy. I mean, people have to take responsibility. If you're listening there and, some lush who's just sitting there basically yelling "F you" into the microphone is where you get your political wisdom from. A guy who doesn't even know the difference between, like, you know, a filibuster or is sitting there happy to have Peter Thiel be on the Supreme Court. You've got to educate yourself. And honestly, like, it's not just like, you know.
You know what's really funny, though? I saw Brianna Joy Gray do this. I saw Jimmy Dore do this. They said, look at AOC's Twitter follower account. Or Twitter follower count, not account, but on her Twitter account, look at her follower number. She has 10 million Twitter followers. And you're telling me AOC doesn't have political power? They literally used her, you know, Twitter account and her follow number on there as a reason that she has political capital. Like, are you kidding me? That is the definition of, like, a childish view of politics. Like, a really superficial view. Like, oh, you have influence because of your... it's so laughable. Like, I never thought anyone would actually make that point. I never even thought to defend a point like that because I never thought somebody would make it.
All he has is a microphone. He has no more or less than what we have. It's just that some of the members of his audience are just sitting there.
Oh, but he does have something that we have, and he's lacking something that we have. We all know that at the core of this, honestly, and I'm not going to go into the new YouTube number games, but I do believe that he has the insight that anger is lucrative. And we all know that anger is lucrative. Every one of us who do this know that if we rile up the progressive base and just tell you what makes you angry, we can buy a house. Right? That said, we don't do that, right? I think each and every one of us know that if we kept Donald Trump in office, all of our bottom lines would probably be amazing going forward. But we were never going to sacrifice our integrity and leave Donald Trump in office.
I don't know. I don't think Jimmy Dore is doing it for money. I think he is capitalizing on the anger to push forward his view of what should be done. And I think that plays into narcissism as well. But is he a grifter in doing it? I don't really think so. He seems pretty genuine in what he's saying. You can't go on crazy rants like that without being genuine, I don't think. Have you seen what he said about AOC? F you, F AOC, F anybody who supports her. All these progressives should leave the House, should leave the Senate if they aren't going to do what I say. Like, it's really interesting.
Because it's financially good for us. And similarly, I would never attack the people who are closest to accomplishing something that we really want simply because, in my best estimation, there's a financial motive. That's just my estimation, and I don't ascribe.
Without the financial motive part, attacking the people who are on the inside of politics with the standards of what activists should be doing is kind of weird. So when you have an inside-outside political strategy, people are going to have different roles. So although Jimmy Dore's role, or another activist's, I won't say he's an activist, but another person on the outside's role might be to stir up controversy, to stir up anger, to make sure politicians are pressured. If you're on the inside, like an AOC, like another squad member, you're trying to play the game as best as you can, and to make the political landscape and our institutions make sure these things are crafted in a way that are the best possible scenario for progress, or the best foundation for progress. There are very important things you can do. Like, for example, I looked into the PAYGO stuff. That says that in order to pass a bill, you need to be able to fund it with, you need to fund the bill first before you can pass it, which makes it very complicated and actually hard to do. It feeds into austerity, and makes it extremely hard to get anything done, like I just said. Getting that reversed, and that's a Nancy Pelosi thing, would be huge. Like, these fundamental things are much more important than forcing a Medicare for All vote right now. And Brianna Joy Gray said on Twitter, which is probably a really bad thing about understanding polling or misunderstanding polling. She said, and I retweeted it, I think. Let me see. So essentially she said, everybody already agrees Medicare for All is the proper solution. People telling us that we need to organize and continue to convince people of Medicare for All, they simply don't understand what this is. We're already there. And this is why I said it's really important that we understand how polling works. So here's the tweet right here. This is from my Discord, the screenshot. This person said, and we're at what, 70% across party lines? This is referring to Medicare for All approval. I keep hearing the argument that we have to take it to the community. And I get it, but how does going out and canvassing for this specific issue make a change or whatever? She said, Brianna Joy Gray said, we've already convinced everyone to support Medicare for all, except for congressional Democrats. Now, in order to say this statement, you have to be really, really unfamiliar with how to read polling or with how actual voters are talking. You know, there's a difference between strong support of a policy and weak support of a policy. And also, when you introduce substitute options into a voter's mind, so if you say to them, you know, do you like public option? They might say yes. Do you like Medicare for all? They might actually say yes as well. They might also say yes for Medicare for all. Although 70 to 90% of all Democrats like those two policies, when they have a choice to vote for a candidate who's going to fight for Medicare for all or fight for public option, they are choosing right now the candidate that can fight for a public option and will fight for a public option. So these policies compete with each other. Medicare for all support is really weak. And the issue with that is this: we're not done yet. We're halfway there. We're like, you know, we're not halfway there. We're 1/4 of the way there of where public opinion needs to be on Medicare for all. And she thinks we're already done, which is a very, very damaging perspective to have for a thought leader on the left.
Back to Sam on the Majority Report.
I also, go on, Sam.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a financial motivation. I think it hurts. I mean, it helps when the cash comes rolling in. That's one thing you don't question, really. But I think it's just a question of like nihilism. I think it's just really, you know, in the same way that, like, I don't know, is Alex Jones exclusively about money? No. You'd have to be. You'd have to be attention. I think he has like emotional issues that Alex Jones does. I think he's nuts, and I think so I think, and he thinks he's right, and so he'll make up stuff, and he won't read stuff, and he'll just get his information from wherever. You know,
so Hamster, if you miss a live stream and it's not up on YouTube anymore, you can check on my Twitch account. All the streams will be up on Twitch as well if I don't have it up on YouTube anymore, if I private it.
You think Jimmy really believes what he says then? You think he's like a true believer in his own rhetoric?
I think that Jimmy believes that that everything is garbage, and that I don't think he was ever. I don't think he actually believes in trying to get. I think his agenda is to just destroy the Democratic Party and to.
It's being anti-liberal no matter what. It's being pro-populist no matter what. That's why you see Jimmy Dore, that's why you see Nico House working with people like Tucker Carlson and working with Nazis, because these people have to go with the far right because they hate liberalism so much. They need to go to whatever other political force also hates liberalism as much as they do. And if they feel like too many lefties are trying to play politics, then they might abandon those lefties for more populist people. Like, for example, Brie Joy Gray appeared with Nico House today for an hour-long live stream, which is a really interesting mix right there.
And it pays, and his cynicism pays. I think that's his agenda. I don't think his agenda, I will tell you this, I don't think he gives a shit about.
That's true.
Yeah, there's also a TMZ element to it too, right? Where it's basically personality focused. And it's often, I keep saying this, but it's often like female politicians or politicians of color too. I mean, the fact that he went after Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman for no reason, and Ocasio-Cortez and whatever, like Tulsi Gabbard never held to account. I understand it's not a one size fits all for that, but those are the direct.
Hates Bernie now. So does Kyle Kalinske. It's really interesting how those things fall into place.
Actions of his ire in many senses.
But listen, make no mistake about it.
No. They don't hate Bernie. They don't hate Bernie. They think Bernie is either stupid or doesn't care enough. That's what they said about Bernie.
Like, I'm not coming on your show for whatever reason because she's, tacked too far to the right or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden he would launch at her. I mean, that's what
triggered it. Yeah.
Triggered all this stuff.
Yeah.
Is that, Bernie Sanders wouldn't come on a show, whatever it is. And so, but.
And you don't have to read anything, and you don't actually have to be good at politics. Like, actually understand things. You can just be like they took the justifiable outrage of the 2016 presidential campaign and the bias against Bernie Sanders, and people went in different directions, right? Like, Ben, your show went in a direction, or not different, but covered it in the way that you thought you were going to cover it.
Right.
And Benjamin Dixon was a key person in exposing Michael Bloomberg, by the way, in this primary. He was actually the catalyst on Twitter for exposing what Mike Bloomberg said about on race issues. And he might be one of the reasons Mike Bloomberg's approval took such a dip off the bat. Benjamin Dixon. He does pretty good work from what I know.
there was a branch of the left online, or whatever that is, that made it about how the Democratic Party is beyond repair, and everyone that becomes a part of the Democratic Party is corrupt and, beholden to Nancy Pelosi. And then when AOC said mama bear and called her that, well, that was doors opening to say, see.
No, Don, I didn't say Kyle hated Bernie. I corrected myself. He said Bernie is either dumb or doesn't care. Either Bernie doesn't understand politics enough or Bernie doesn't care. That's what Kyle Kalinske said. I made an entire half-hour video on it like 4 months ago when literally no one was watching my stuff. But like I made an entire video on it. That's literally what he said about Bernie Sanders. And I thought it was so dumb for somebody who is pampered to live with such a lavish lifestyle off of YouTube politics to say that about Bernie Sanders. After knowing everything Bernie Sanders has done in his entire career, to say Bernie Sanders is either dumb or doesn't care or doesn't understand politics is freaking absurd. It's narcissistic and it's arrogant. It's really unfortunate.
She's just like them.
Kyle Kalinske was the reason I got into not the reason, but he was my entrance into political media. I used to watch Kyle Kalinske 24 hours every single day, and I still watch a lot of his stuff.
She's on the cover of Vanity Fair, so that must mean that she's actually a terrible person and not fighting for the same things. He literally said, she's standing in the way of your health care. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's what
Wait. Jimmy Dore actually said that? I didn't see that part.
Actually, you know what? We got it here. Let's play the clip.
Yeah, well, sure. I'll send it to.
No, we have it. I think.
Oh, you have it already. This is amazing.
I mean, I sort of determined not to get into it, but yeah, here it is.
This report came out against you. Kyle Kalinske just turned on you. AOC, did you see that video?
Kyle Kalinske just turned on.
Guess who else? Crystal Ball. Guess who else? Jimmy Dore. Guess who else? Medea Benjamin. Cornel. Everybody sees
Cornel
through
West
you.
Did not try to turn
Everybody sees through you, except your fucking sycophant DSA dickheads in fucking Brooklyn.
Jimmy,
we see through you. Even
so he's speaking in the third person. Do people usually speak in the third person if they're not being narcissistic or going on an ego trip? I don't know, but considering what he just said about like Kyle Kalinske and stuff, to think for someone who's actually in politics, the defiance of Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball and Jimmy Dore is what's going to hurt you. One of the most popular and most pressured political people in the world. Does AOC care about that as much, or
detractors see through you? That's right.
I don't know about that. Look at like this is not
healthy.
It's online nonsense. Like, yeah, okay. Look, I think Kyle's done good work. Do I think AOC watched his video and is aware that Kyle turned on her? I think she has worried about.
But I personally don't care.
Disagreeing with Bernie on strategy is different from saying Bernie Sanders has the wrong strategy because he's dumb or doesn't care. That is very different from just saying we disagree. I don't care if he finishes the sentence with, but I do love him. If somebody calls me either dumb or uncaring, and then they say after it, I still love and respect what you have. Like, no, that's not, personally, I would think that's a pretty big dig at me. I don't know. I think it's really just, what's the word? Ignorant, I guess, or like immature or something to say, or even to assume that you have all the answers from your studio in comparison to somebody who's actually doing it, especially when now knowing Kyle Kalinske didn't even vote in this election, which is that's weak sauce.
This is wrong. They're wrong.
They're
right?
wrong.
They're just patently wrong because the strategery, because that's all it is. It's not a strategy. It's strategery at this point is dead after step 2. And you never win a checkers game, let alone a chess game, let alone life with 2 steps. The thing here, though.
Anybody compared to Jimmy Dore is going to sound a lot more reasonable, in my opinion. By the way, thank you to everybody who's liking the stream and everything and subscribing.
The thing that really, really bothers me is that he's going all the way in on this. He is trying to dethrone. Yeah. This really, at the core of this, is a faction of the left that's trying to dethrone the progressive faction that actually got traction and power. My question is Jimmy, why don't you ask your the official that you helped get elected? Like who's your representative? Why are you going all the way across the continent of the country to New York and putting pressure on a first-term congresswoman who just amassed enough power for us to primary other people. You're asking her to sacrifice that. What about all the other people? Why all this energy for progressives when your strategy itself is...
AOC is in she's in a prime position to primary Chuck Schumer for the Senate. And I guess we should throw all of that away for this plan that's half cooked. I don't know.
Never going to yield results. It's like we're in a circle of firing squad, and at the end of it, nobody gets anything except for neoliberalism and trickle-down capitalism.
Is there more video?
Posted a picture once on a magazine with someone Jimmy didn't like. I mean, the book gets more abusive. I don't want to even, it gets worse, but...
Should we play any more of it?
Play the rest. I think it's...
Oh, y'all gonna make me cuss on it.
But he sees through the squad now. And why AOC? I'm telling, they're pushing her out there because she's the most sympathetic. And so idiots can say, stop attacking her when she is standing between you and healthcare and protecting Nancy Pelosi and her career.
Excuse me, guys. Can I respond to that real quick?
Yeah, pause.
Are we off of whatever? What's the rating right now? Is it rated R? Can we cuss?
Yeah, you can cuss.
Yeah,
fuck Jimmy Dore. This stuff is sociopathy. What he is doing is cashing in on your anger, but he's cashing in with a strategy that's going to leave you without Medicare for all. He is literally, at this point, COINTELPRO for me. He is a Fed at this point because he is coming in to neutralize the only power that progressives really have. And if you and your, and I'm going to do my best not to insult the people who support his idea, it's in my blood to insult you, but I'm not going to, because you really, really need to understand that what he is doing is manipulating you for cash. And much more importantly than him is the fact that he is scullying our chance to get Medicare for all in the next 4 years. He's going to make us kill it right now. That's what he's doing. He's a Fed.
On the whole thing where Benjamin Dixon said Brie Joy Gray is working for white progressives to uphold white supremacy, I don't think I have the right perspective to comment on that, considering I am white. So if you are black, then feel free to comment on that topic, but I think it should be hashed out between them. I literally have nothing to offer when it comes to that conversation.
News for everybody. There's not going to be Medicare for all in 4 years. That's not happening. This is a 10
chimera.
a 10 to 12 year project, and I got news for everybody. It just got set back by probably more than the 4 years that we just spent with Donald Trump.
Because that's the spokesperson.
This was the whole. Well, it's not even just that. It's just like, look, people like there are extraordinary forces aligned against it.
Oh yeah, Ron.
Instead of having 4 years of slow frustration build under a Clinton administration who is trying out, to expand healthcare in various waves, maybe at that point have taken it to 55, a buy-in on Medicare. Instead, you are now working
600 subs. Where? On Twitter or on YouTube?
A point of people just knowing we could easily go from the frying pan into the fire. Right. That's the way that politics work. And you can go back and people can go look at Jimmy's, vision of where we would be today.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren is the president and the Republican Party having, refused to go along with anything that Donald Trump wanted and all this, and know that the guy has no idea what he's talking about. And here's the thing. It is one thing to pressure the people who are closest to you and to allow them to use that pressure to leverage other things. But you need to do it in coordination with them. You need to do it, not necessarily coordination, but you need to do it with some awareness of what they can and cannot do. If I take a hammer, or if I take this, and try and use it as a hammer, it's just going to break, and I'm not going to have the remote control anymore. Right.
Yeah.
You need to know if you're using something to do something.
Radical shifts in public policy rarely come through institutional means. Oh, hey, what's up? ImRaffed. Lovely patron. So the thing about institutional means, in the 40s and the 50s, a lot of politicians who were for desegregation actually did make a lot of institutional changes that made the eventual Civil Rights Act easier to pass and everything that came with it. I can do a video on that then, but it's a lot more institutional than many people may think. It's a lot more inside-outside politics when it comes to that policy. But I mean, when it comes to other policies in American history, I'd have to also, because the New Deal is really convoluted when you look into it because it was only for white people, really. It's a lot different than something right now would be that favors people of all races and everything. And that is an important dynamic. When considering the New Deal in the South could be led by former slave owners who could use that to reinforce supremacy and use New Deal programs to only benefit white landowners, that's a lot different than right now. Medicare for All would help people of all backgrounds, of all classes, of all races. So that makes the dynamic even much more different. Like Republicans, there's a poll. I need to find it. Republicans were more for social programs if they were led to think that black people wouldn't be benefiting from it. That was actually a poll. I'll try to find that.
Something else you need to know.
But when you're focused on personalities and it's just about, like, stick it to Pelosi or stick it to the establishment, you have no awareness of movement building and how long it takes for these organizations to work together to
We're
push
not going to
Medicare
get with 5 conservative Democrats, corporate Democrats now on that
it's it.
Commerce. Yeah. I got news for you.
Sara.
There's not going to be any movement.
And instead of the left supporting her, right? And instead of the left or this faction, this whatever 8% of the online left supporting her, she's being shivved from that side and shivved from the other. And then what do you not on?
Well, I mean, and then also think about this. Let me ask everyone who thinks Jimmy Dore is well, first of all, Jimmy Dore should never have gotten back in this conversation. Jimmy Dore, let him make his millions. Go to the south of France. Go ahead and get your clicks, but never, ever allow that man to be in the conversation about true progressivism.
I got to say, I take a certain amount of responsibility for being, I thought it was being charitable, but it was just dumb. Like, frankly, if I thought there was any value in the idea that I should have just like brought it up completely,
well, I mean, Ocasio-Cortez responded
of him raising it because the guy is incredibly toxic. I figured, 4 years later, cut him a little bit of slack, and that was stupid. It was stupid on my part. It was stupid.
I want to ask everybody this question, though. Everybody who still believes in Jimmy Dore, once the squad is gone and Jimmy Dore gets his way, who you going to pressure?
Right.
Who are you going to pressure? Who's going to listen to you?
Can we just finish?
Morons.
So we can just wrap it up or wrap it in a bow.
Was there any more of that clip left?
Just because I think it's important to see how he gets himself riled up. It's psychotic.
Yeah, but there was also a lot on the inside too. There was massive pressure, but there were also people on the inside who could funnel that pressure through different means to create positive change.
Standing between you and healthcare and protecting Nancy Pelosi and her career.
Talk about career.
Key organizing moments may look like random uprisings and viral internet moments to some, but they aren't. They are the results of years of targeting, organizing, and people.
So what happens is progressives get into power and do tiny things to make positions of power more susceptible to progressive change. Now, as they're doing this, more and more progressives keep on pressuring on the outside as well, and also primary other Democrats to get more progressives elected. So we keep on going through this process of getting more and more progressives elected all throughout government, and all these people pushing in the same direction for progress, so that when this massive public pressure finally arises again, progressive legislation and progressive change has more of a chance to actually get through. So although AOC might not be the driver of super duper big radical change right now, her work on the inside, her work building goodwill with Democratic normie voters is doing a lot when it comes to actually getting these policies implemented. When this big activist push for M4A finally comes through, we're trying to completely decommodify health insurance. It's it's a big feat.
Those movements. This took 2 weeks.
What did?
This took 2 weeks.
Period. Hold on.
This took 2 weeks.
1 second. Okay, so Jimmy doesn't understand what she's saying here.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
Right? I mean, just like how
He's so stupid. It's unbelievable.
understanding.
I know.
She is suggesting that actual change takes building on the ground and building a foundation. You see it pop up and it looks like it's just there for a moment, but it's actually been building for years. Jimmy thinks that
He got it done in 2 weeks.
video, it only look at what I've been able to achieve in 2 weeks.
What did you achieve?
Nothing. He got a story in Business Insider and he added some subscriptions and he made some money.
That's it.
That's politics, though, from what I hear from Jimmy's show.
But that's the thing. He doesn't
Exactly.
in the tweet that she's writing.
Yeah,
But
and
continue.
then he gets something wrong.
I just don't see how it's even somewhat productive to say to people, AOC is the person standing between you and Medicare for All, when you're just making her job harder of what she's trying to do on the inside. I'm not saying she's perfect, and I wouldn't expect a freshman congresswoman who was formerly a bartender before taking this job and becoming one of the most popular and most, like I said before, pressured politicians in America. I don't expect her to be perfect. I don't think anybody here should expect her to be perfect in what she does, especially when we all know that the systems are evil. The systems are not conducive to change. There's a lot of different powers at play here that prevent progressive change, and she's doing the most difficult, institutional part of it, trying to get these things to budge slowly with only 5 or 10 people that are actually with her, arm in arm. And this bullshit makes it harder on her, I think, in doing that. And I wouldn't expect big radical change to ever come from people like her. But these little nudges in the right direction are big. Every time Bernie Sanders or AOC, Bernie Sanders was called the Amendment King. Every single time Bernie Sanders plays a hand in amending a policy or making sure, like right now, $1,200 checks are going to be sent to people, he is pushing for that stuff. Every time Bernie does that, every time AOC does that, any positive effect that they can have on people's lives is really important as well. Even if that big change isn't going to come at once, it is going to be a movement. It is going to be greater than these people. I don't know.
Here too.
Go back and listen to how this stuff is just remedial, right? Apparently can do is read a real estate listing.
Key organizing moments may look like random uprisings and viral internet moments to some, but they aren't. They are the results of years of targeting, organizing, and people's movements. Hey, this took 2 weeks. This took 2 weeks.
He doesn't
This
understand
took
it.
2
He
weeks.
actually doesn't understand what she's saying.
From someone who already went bankrupt from medical bills. It took 2 weeks. How long you been fucking working on this?
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't watch
figured this out in 2 weeks, AOC.
How long have you been working on this? You guys are all failures. I figured out the master plan in 2 weeks. We can have Medicare for all right now if you idiots weren't doing your job.
Liar, you coward, you gaslighter, you standing in the way of people in healthcare, you run on healthcare and then you deny it to us, you dangle it in front of your fucking constituents, and then when you get there, you don't lift a...
Why are y'all doing this to me? I think y'all want me to snap on this motherfucker. God damn. Jimmy Dore, listen, I just got to say this. This has nothing to do with anybody on this show. But Jimmy Dore, you know where to find me, dude. You know where to find me because you ain't suffered nothing, man. You just bought a $2 million house. You bought a house that is probably 10 times the value of what AOC makes in a year, and you're attacking her like you have some moral standing. You are nothing. Let me stop before you never invite me back.
I mean, that might be the same video where he claimed that she voted for the CARES Act. There's no evidence of that. She said that she didn't. You don't need to take her at her word for it, but she was speaking out publicly against it. And then I'm hearing, there was a man's voice that said no, but she could have just not voted for it in general. But it doesn't even matter.
She's speaking against it. She's speaking against it.
So we should pressure AOC to alone try to take on the entire Democratic Party alone, and as a freshman congresswoman alone, from a really anti-capitalist position alone, take a more leadership role in this, and not other progressives in the Democratic Party. So this person who has the potential to have the widest appeal of any progressive candidate in American history, We should throw that all away for this one stand that may or may not work. This lottery ticket, this scratch-off ticket, we're gonna try it, and hopefully the strategy works. And by the way, this strategy only works if we have an organized approach to it that is going to be together. And normie Democrat appeal really matters when trying to unseat somebody like Chuck Schumer. You need those votes to actually win elections, unless if that's not really your goal. Playing adversary to the Democratic Party can work, depending on your strategy. But my personal strategy, and this might be where we disagree, I want to say that we are the real Democrats. I don't want to say Democratic voters are enemies to us. I don't want to say that certain Democratic politicians who are popular are enemies to us. I want to say we are the real Democrats. We are the ones standing up for progressive values and democratic values, and we are the ones that can get it done. And I just don't think pushing the M4A vote gets, accomplishes any of those goals, as is right now. Maybe if we had 50 squad members in Congress, but right now we have what? Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, AOC, Ilhan. Like we have 8 now, I think.
Right. That's the point, is that it's like, that's the cost. There's no cost.
But that's not what that.
But what if she tried to get the other progressive Dems on board and they just said no because it would be political suicide for them too? I mean, do you think she just didn't try? I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like for you to think she isn't trying, either you have to think she is politically ineffectual, she doesn't understand what she's doing, she isn't trying hard enough to do what she should be doing, or something of the nature. Like, I would just assume that's what your presumption is of AOC. Or maybe you give her the benefit of the doubt, saying she is very unexperienced or inexperienced. She's a freshman congresswoman. She's 30 years old, I think, which is very young for her standing.
But in my opinion, that's not what that clip is about. That clip is about, holy shit, I hit a gold mine. Yeah. I've struck gold. And if I just keep talking about this, I'm going to keep getting 200,000 views
I agree
per
she
video.
Should try to do that. I guess, okay, the big difference is you are assuming she isn't trying to do that. And I'm assuming that she is. I'm assuming that she is good intentioned and she is trying to push change in a positive way. I don't have any reason to not believe that at this point. She's been pretty genuine so far. She came out and endorsed Bernie after the heart attack. She's spoken out she's the only progressive who is willing to speak out against Nancy Pelosi in any public capacity whatsoever. She's the only one willing to do that. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to trust that AOC is at least trying to do her best in pushing for progress and good things in general. But, I mean, people on Twitter are freaking out about Cori Bush right now because she was speaking to Jim Clyburn, a civil rights legend, essentially. Even though he's Democrat, or even though he is conservative, Cori Bush talking to Jim Clyburn is politically effective because Jim Clyburn is the reason Joe Biden won the entire freaking primary, if nobody noticed. And also, it makes sense. You are a black woman. You're probably, what is she? Number of black women to ever serve in the U.S. House. What number is she? There have been 47 African-American women. Since 1964, more than 70 women of color have been elected to Congress. African-American, Hispanic, Asian and Pacific Islander. There have been 13 Asian, 47 African-American, 20 Hispanic-American since 1964. And paying respect to like a civil rights leader, I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue. And if anything, like I said, I don't want to be adversary to Democrats. I want to say we are the real Democrats. I want to say, you know what? We're taking this shit over, and we're going to get shit done. Because the current Democrats are not getting it done. We are the real ones. Yeah. It's really hard to do it, though. Like, I wouldn't know what the hell to do if I was in her position, but I guess we just assume she's, like, super powered or something.
And my bank is going to keep going up. My patrons are going to go up and up, and my notoriety is going to go up and up. And so maybe I won't have to settle for a measly peasly $1.9 million house in LA, and I can go ahead and get me the $5 million one I've been coveting. I'm sorry. This man is destroying the entirety of the progressive movement because leftists are angry, and you all are allowing yourselves to be taken to the bank by this clown.
This take is a little bit too online, too. I don't think all of the left is hurt right now. I think it's a very small subsection of the left who is very online that's affected by this entire thing. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm not going to hear about this in regular life by anybody who isn't too online.
Pool, though. And that's...
that's the problem. That's why he's doing it. He's got to get a pool. He's got to get a pool.
You're going to be out in LA. You got to get a pool.
You gotta have a goddamn pool, man. What the,
Like, I brought this up to some progressive organizers I know, and they knew nothing about this entire thing. Like, they didn't even hear about this story whatsoever. Like, these people are on the ground actually organizing, orchestrating, political power and activism.
What kind of ragtag shanty are you living in, Jimmy Dore? 1.9 million with no pool? Come on, man.
Listen, we're not. I mean, we're going to talk about this later a little bit, but I'm not doing my normal year-end roundup type of thing this year. Like, I just hated this year so bad that I just don't. But
yeah.
Let me just say this: since this is the last time we're going to see you in 2020, thank you for your coming onto the show on a regular basis. Your contribution has been incredibly appreciated. I love the work that you do.
Thanks, man.
And I hope that you have years and that 2021 is an upgrade.
I like you even more than Sam. So
you guys, I'm trying to get back. I like Sam more than everybody else because I want to be invited back. No, I know. I appreciate you, Emma. Appreciate all of you. Listen, shout out in solidarity and love to the entire Majority Report family and to all of us who.
I'm saying there's nothing more to demand from AOC right now. I'm saying she's operating at her full capacity to affect positive change. And she has a lot of things on her shoulders. I mean, if you're specializing in something, if you are working on a car, if you're a mechanic, I'm not going to walk up to you and, demand things out of you that I don't think you're already trying to do, because I don't really understand that playing field so much. I know politicians are different in a sense because we know how convoluted and complicated political issues are. But when it comes to somebody like her, like I said, I have no reason to think she isn't operating at her current full capacity. When I think about pressuring politicians, I'm thinking about we need to pressure them from not doing things that are bad because they are purposely doing things that are not good. I'm not thinking we have to push AOC over the edge, like as if she's afraid to jump, because we just assume she's being ineffectual. I never saw anything about this with Bernie Sanders whatsoever. I know it's arising right now. But honestly, throughout Bernie's 40 years as an independent, I'm sure these people would be saying the exact same thing about him. But whatever. Right now, this is a fun one. So, Donald Trump, I think people take him too, not seriously, if that makes sense. But this happens. Ooh, this is a good question. I like this one. Why did it work so effectively for the Tea Party / Freedom Caucus then? We should be walking into gunfights with knives. Okay, so the Tea Party. What about writing a representative if you think there is an issue? Yeah, you should be pressuring people who aren't currently doing the right things, but in general. Okay, so why did it work for the Tea Party? The Tea Party was fully funded by the Koch brothers, the billionaire oil tycoons. Funded by them, it was a astroturf movement, meaning it was fake grassroots. It favored capital. The far right always favors capital. The Tea Party's policies helped the elites. So progressives are not funded by billionaires. Progressives operate in a capacity that is solely powered by the people, and progressives are advocating for policies and governmental changes that will actively attack capital owners in the system, actively attack the ruling class. So when talking about the Tea Party strategies versus progressive strategies, it's always going to be different. This is actual grassroots shit we're dealing with. All we have is people power and people pressure. We don't have money. We don't have this astroturf bullshit. It's a little bit different. Plus, the voting bases of the two different parties are a little bit different. So Democratic voters are not going to be as receptive to to populism as the far right voters are, especially when far right populism is ruled by white nationalism and bigotry. That gets a lot of people on your side as well when you're being fake populist. Trump voters don't respond that much to his economic messages. They respond a lot to his immigration messages. Those strategies work a lot better on the right for those reasons. Tom K is saying no, they withheld votes against the establishment's will. I'm just going to assume you don't understand the nuance of the conversation then. If you totally disregard what I just said, then you're probably not going to understand my other arguments or what I'm trying to say. If you can't understand the difference between a fake movement funded by the Koch brothers And this movement pushing for policies that helps rich people versus a progressive movement funded by nobody but the people who advocates for policies that are actively against the interest of the ruling class, I don't think we could really talk about the future. How they are funded is oh my god, it's not irrelevant, because that's going to change how the media treats them, and also the white nationalism and the xenophobia. You can't just ignore that. Okay, so one of the reasons Nancy Pelosi right now is still speaker is because she brings in tons of money for the Democratic Party. Everybody knows she isn't popular. That's why they need her, because she has the donors coming in. Who they're funded by is huge. No, right now during the pandemic, actually, approval ratings for the public option went up. Medicare for All has remained pretty stagnant. Democratic voters right now want the public option more. No, you're not understanding. Oh my god. So, the white nationalism and the xenophobia is a big thing as well. The law and order. But the fake movement, what I'm saying is, it didn't need to be really people-powered. It had that as a externality. Or as a other... There's a populist party brewing amongst both of them. I'm not labeling all of them as bigots and white nationalists. I'm saying those messages help more. Why do you think everything is ruled by the culture war? Why does Donald Trump focus on only the culture war? This stuff that I'm saying is analytical. It's based on data. I'm not just... If I was not basing it off data, I would be saying that everybody already agrees with Medicare for All. But I don't do that. I don't play that game. Donald Trump's approval rating shot up before he said one thing about economics. Literally, people loved him once he said immigrants and Mexicans were going to be rapists and killers. Where's that graph at, Ron? Let's see. Let's look at this to see if economic populism is really the reason people are voting for Donald Trump. Which one did you post that in? Let me find it really quick. Oh, Kara, I can't find the chat. What was the chat you posted that in? General, was it? Ron, I'm just gonna look at your old messages. Never mind, apparently. Let's see. I'm trying to find your messages in here that showed the graph in relation from income, and your views towards immigration, and how likely you are to respond to culture war topics. So I'm gonna try to find that in my channel really quick if I can. But for some reason, my channel is acting weird. Let's see. Ron. Oh, wait, no, you're... Yeah, okay. Nah, he can manage people? No, that's objectively not the reason they voted for Donald Trump. I think a strong populist message can drown out a white nationalist message, which is the foundation of my political approach where I'm from. No, the main reason people voted for Trump was on immigration. And if they said economy, if you go deeper into the polling data, the people thought the number one thing affecting the economy was immigration. Sure, trade deals had a minor effect at play. But this is a big reason that populist movements on the right can take hold over populist movements on the left. Plus, the media forces are going to help the populist movements on the right more because they favor money. They favor rich people getting richer. And I'm really surprised that people on the left wouldn't agree with that concept, that populist movements that help rich people would be easier to do than populist movements that hurt rich people, especially considering world history, when almost every eventual, every possible socialist revolution, even in Spain, the advent of fascism in Italy was going to be a communist revolution. But Mussolini switched to this brand of fascism he crafted after the ruling class decided they would rather a left-wing, or no, the ruling class decided they would rather a fascist right-wing collapse than a left-wing collapse. Like, the ruling class has always made that happen throughout history. In Germany, that's what happened. If there's a populist movement, they always want it to fall to the right because the rich people can stay rich. If it falls to the left, then the rich have to give up their power. So, of course, a right-wing... That's why people didn't have a problem with Trump until now. Because up until now, Donald Trump was hurting or was helping their bottom lines. And now he's more threatening to the entire system. So they had to get him out. That's why all the freaking bankers went back to Democrats again. Sup, Connor. But this is really scary. Heated Oval Office meeting included talk of special counsel, martial law, as Trump advisors clash. So Donald Trump was asking if he had the power to use the military, I think, to seize voting machines. People always call you alarmist if something doesn't happen. If you warn about climate change every single year and there's never a fire tornado, people are probably going to tell you you're being a climate alarmist. Like, have you ever heard someone say to you, like, hey, wait, it's not even snowing outside. Why are you worrying about climate change? The same thing happened with this election. Like, hey, why are you worrying about a coup or something? Just because it didn't happen doesn't mean there wasn't a threat of it. But this is crazy. I literally do think Donald Trump will do anything to maintain power, no matter what. There's no reason I can see why he would turn away from any of these methods. If he could, he would do a complete military coup. Crazy. Oh my goodness. I can't even believe it. Every day, he amazes me with how far he will push. If AOC was funded by Soros and neolibs, she would leverage the progressive voting bloc as a group in Congress because elites know that strategy works. If AOC was funded by them, she wouldn't be allowed to say what she's saying because her rhetoric instills basic class consciousness in people. You want to come to South Carolina where people that make $11 an hour vote Republican? Yeah. True. Yeah, they would be non-voters if it wasn't for Trump. The populist message might have, or like the working class message, got some Obama voters to go to Trump. But when it comes to new voters, those new voters are from the other stuff Donald Trump said. The not so good stuff. All right. What is this? Where are you at, Nico House? Come back here.
For whatever reason.
Where to God.
Wait, what year? I don't even remember Snowstorm.
That was 2016 going into 2017, like right at the end of the year.
Okay. All right.
Everything I shut down. Everything.
You think it's your fault?
No, that's what I say. I say because I was so mad by the time I left.
How big do you think the progressive voting bloc is? Like, if I saw someone say, I saw Brie Joy Gray say, actually, beta mail out of your argument. I saw Brie Joy Gray say that AOC should leave the Democratic Party and form her own third party. And I think she underestimates how many normal Democrats are going to be voting for AOC and for Bernie Sanders. A lot of Bernie Sanders supporters that I know personally and in the polling data consider themselves regular-ass Democrats. They don't consider themselves like Democratic Dem Socialist or members of the DSA. Normie Democrats also vote for Bernie Sanders, also vote for AOC. But if it's not an irrelevant point who the groups are funded by.
New York, like, man, y'all can keep this snow. I'm going to Miami. Immediately went to the club. Didn't even stop by apartment. But thanks so much for coming on, Brie. You've been pretty busy lately, and it's because
the media spends more time humanizing the far right than they do freaking helping the left. I think they spend their time hurting the left more. They'll be saying about Donald Trump like humanizing things. They're the reason Donald Trump got elected. We just got through a whole period of media blockouts for Bernie Sanders, for Tulsi was a big subject, and Andrew Yang.
Well, it seems like you've done this silly thing like advocated for fighting for Medicare for all with this mandate that a lot of these progressive have.
I'm trying to find another video to watch, but this is on as of right now.
Have built up for the last 2 years. And apparently that's pretty controversial stance.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by it. So, you're obviously referring to this effort to force a floor vote for Medicare for all. It's an idea that started percolating about 2 weeks ago when Jamie Dore brought it up on his show. But a week later, Sam Cedar said that he thought it was also a good idea, which drew my attention to it because those are two people who don't often agree on much. And I thought, well,
it's a nice way to say it.
If these people who are kind of have these ideological
Sam Cedar said withholding a vote for something was a good idea. He didn't say Jimmy Dore's direct strategy was the right way to go. I watched the Majority Report video on that because people brought it up a lot.
Can come to terms with this. Let me look closely. I took a listen. It sounded solid, and it started to get vetted by more and more people over the course of the next week or so. Crystal Ball talked about it on her show. She had Jimmy Dore on to talk about it. And then things really blew up, as you know, when AOC herself weighed in on the conversation by responding to a tweet by NFL player Justin Jackson on Twitter.
Instead of Jimmy. So that should probably be mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, so for whatever reason. And in the course of that exchange, something happened that doesn't often happen when AOC is involved.
And one important thing to consider right here is, so BJG says here, Brie Joy Gray says, there is a presumption that most Democrats support M4A. Enormous percentages of Biden voters thought he supported Medicare for all, which was true. Both Biden and Ossoff tweet, healthcare is a human right, even though neither supports single payer. Now, within this sentence, single payer, if you ask Americans, do you want single payer healthcare? They will hate that shit. If you say, do you want Medicare for all? They will love that shit. So just a little bit of an aside. But when it comes to healthcare is a human right for Biden and Ossoff, now, Medicare for all isn't the only way to make healthcare a human right. If they did establish the public option as they say it can be done, it's not going to be done that way. It can never be done that way. I don't believe that program can ever work, and the numbers don't add up. But say they did, it would essentially be healthcare as a human right, just with the idea that everyone can have it. And I do support Medicare for all, but it's not the only way to get universal healthcare in general. It's just an interesting thought pattern here. And you have to look at what voters are going to think. Like, I think most voters think healthcare being a human right is like the ACA. And because we don't have a view of what the rest of the world is like. That's why I say we need more educating to be done. Because people don't really know all the merits yet. Does anybody know this person by chance? Does anybody know Richard Mandhurst? He is a really fiery political commentator. He is from the same branch of politics as like Jimmy Dore and Glenn Greenwald. Very populist, very anti-voting Biden, very anti-liberal, very for like his main topics are pardoning Assange and Snowden. So that's basically what his political ideology and his political role is. So this is a thread about him. I guess saying he's a grifter. He says he's from Syria and his family's from Syria, and that's why he cares so much about foreign policy. Going down this thread is really interesting, though. So, behind him, there's a poster that says Riverside, which I guess is a band he used to be in. So this person used that to go down a rabbit hole for this Richard guy. And it turns out he's been trying to be a famous YouTuber for a long time. As you can see here, Facebook addiction, Facebook facts, why being broke sucks, iPhone 7 parody, back to school, blooper montage at the supermarket, exam time, Linkin Park covers. He did a lot of stuff on YouTube, which is really interesting. So he's been wanting to be famous for a long time, and he's really good at impersonations and acting, which is really interesting. His rap name was Richie Rich. He was really good at impersonating Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park, which is really interesting. So he used to do like this random like content. It's really interesting. And he never mentioned like Syria at all before. He made it seem like he wasn't from the UK in his new videos, but he was from the UK, and it was obvious by judging by the flags. And he used to be really into music, but apparently he dropped all of that and became a political commentator, which is really interesting. He deleted all other aspects of his internet life. No, Brandon, I'm not saying that we shouldn't fight for the policy because it's not popular yet. I'm saying we need to fight more to make it more popular. And people like Brie Joy Gray think we're already there. That's my big argument. I think we need a lot more fighting. And assuming that the entire country already agrees with us, I think is a pretty self-defeating position because it disengages us from the goal of educating and pushing it in our communities and making sure our support for Medicare for All is really powerful support. It's not like a voter saying like, yes, I guess I'll try it. It's more like a voter saying, yes, I need Medicare for All because it's going to be much better. Like, I strongly support this policy. I don't just support it offhandedly. That's what most people do right now. And I think we need to focus really hard on that goal of, you know, getting it super, super, super popular, more organization. We're not even, I think we're like halfway there to where it needs to be with pressure on the ground and all that. At one point, every Secular Talk video had a comment advertising his own channel. I should do that. English rapper and producer. Rapper. I want to hear his raps. I can't find any though. But it's really interesting. It seems like he came out of nowhere after making YouTube content and he failed to be successful. And then he came back and became a YouTube commentator and really started to take off doing that. Just really interesting to look at.
Of her popularity, Justin Jackson, at least in the war of likes and retweets, won out. And at that point, it became by a significant amount. And so at that point, it became a real kind of like lightning rod and has been roiling the left ever since.
Yeah. So what was interesting about that was like AOC's, I think that was her first mistake, like in her approach to trying to mitigate the situation was, I don't think that she knew, honestly, that one, Justin Jackson was so political. Like, I don't think she knew because Justin was just, I'm like, good God, bro, chill. And he was, because Justin has been, like yourself, more than fair to AOC. He's given her pass after pass after pass. I'm like, well, we don't want to throw allies under the bus, you know, and he's been like that type. He's been very.
I think she does know that. She was really for voting like Stein in 2016 and also being Bernie or bust for this one too, which is really interesting.
Very lenient on everybody he considers to be an ally. So when he gets pushed to that point and he's tagging her and Jimmy, and then she responds to him, doesn't respond to Jimmy.
Even by that argument, saying the Freedom Caucus has the Freedom Caucus had 36 members. Right now, the squad has like 8 members. So even from that argument, that's different in 4 different multiples than what we have now. So I mean, that's not even a point, I guess. If AOC and activists tried, we could get Ilhan, Rokana, Ayanna Presley, Rashida Tlaib, Katie Porter, Mark Pokemon, Barbara Lee, Raul Grahava, Pamela Jayapal, Cory Bush. Plenty of options. What do you mean? Get them to what? To like withhold their vote? But if they're not there right now and they can't organize with only 8 people, I just don't think it's going to be a powerful. Like, you need to be able to organize and capitalize on it to wage public opinion, right? Because the point of the vote would be to make Democrats look good. And I know people are saying like you can hold it up to other Democrats who don't vote for Medicare for All, like in 2022 and 2024. If you're a Democrat and you're in the House and you don't vote for a Medicare for All bill right now. But those Democrats are already against the Medicare for All bill. And when you know a lot of Democrats in general are against, you know, a Medicare for All bill as well, they're more for a public option. All the other people can do is, okay, so say you're a progressive Democrat in 2022. After you force a Medicare for All vote, you vote for Medicare for All. Your opponent doesn't vote for Medicare for All. Now it's good to do these practices and to visualize these scenarios because we can actually like sort of predict in our heads how the actual argument would play out. So progressives right now who want to force the vote are assuming it's going to play out like, hey, you didn't vote for Medicare for All during a pandemic. Are you kidding me? All these Americans dying and you voted against universal health care? All the other person has to do, the Democrat that progressive is trying to primary, all they have to say is, I do support giving more people health care. I was for a public option then, I'm for a public option now, and I can actually get it done. Voters are going to want somebody who can improve their lives right now. Go talk to any voter. They want things to get better right now. It's a very small minority that wants to hold out for Medicare for All. If you have 2 candidates and one says, I will get a public option done now, the other says, I want Medicare for All, and they bring up a vote that failed 100 to 330, a failed Medicare for all vote, when issues with progressives on the ground right now is the idea that progressives can't get stuff done, how is that going to look? People want change right now, and public option seems more realistic to them. And we didn't do the organizing yet to influence public opinion in a way that makes people believe not only in Medicare for all, but also that we can get it passed. So we say that, they say to us, I support public option. You can't even get Medicare for all done. It feeds into the same stereotype that progressives are weak and we cannot get shit done. That's why I don't want to force a Medicare for all vote and lose it. That's the only argument I hear right now for forcing the vote, is to expose the fake Democrats and to be able to hold that vote up as if it's the Iraq war vote, and how Bernie Sanders held that up against Joe Biden. I'm not overthinking. I'm not saying progressives shouldn't organize. I'm saying progressives should organize. I'm saying elected progressives right now shouldn't take their 8 votes and force a vote for Medicare for all, because it would hurt us in the future. We've been winning with this. Never mind. There's better ways of exposing how fake they are than forcing a Medicare for all vote that's going to fail and make us look like losers. Okay. This is an important point to realize, okay? One of the biggest reasons Democrats don't support Medicare for all as much as they should be supporting it, even if they say yes, they want it. The reason that they don't really go all in with supporting a candidate who wants Medicare for all is largely because they don't believe it can actually get done. Even if they believe they like the policy. We won that battle, okay? Many Democrats believe that they like the policy. The issue they have is they don't believe we can actually get that policy done. So if we lose a vote 100 to 350, how is that going to prove to them we can get it done? Because Democrats who are dying right now because of a lack of health care are already supporting Medicare for all. And we could bring numbers up for all this. But
I don't think she knew that Jimmy and him were like that. Like that Jimmy could be like, hey, come on the show right now. And then Jimmy, of course, went trending #1. And it seemed like you damn near went trending with him.
Well, what happened was, I
for committee appointments, I mean, yeah, that's different than forcing a Medicare for all vote. If you're working behind the scenes to say, I want to be on this committee or I'm going to hold a vote up, yeah, try to push something like that. But you have to consider as well, like, I think Nancy Pelosi wants AOC to commit political suicide. So I don't think Nancy Pelosi would even work on that premise. She's probably tempting AOC to do that. If AOC took that kind of a leap with how popular AOC is in the Democratic Party, I think Nancy Pelosi would welcome that shit. Nancy Pelosi would be happy to not compromise with AOC for her vote. Because if AOC says, screw it, I'm not going to vote for you, I'm going to hold it up, and I'm going to play adversary to the party, I think that hurts AOC a lot. And Pelosi would love that shit. So I don't even know if Pelosi cares about being speaker that much. The reason that that she is speaker is because of the money she's bringing in. I don't think she cares that much. If it's another corrupt corporate Democrat, why would they care? I mean,
I chose to write an article, kind of laying out the case for it, because such a big part of the conversation, rightly or wrongly, was
progressives are getting snubbed by big money and Pelosi, but our only way to overpower that, since we aren't the Tea Party, is with people power and winning arguments with people. Saying we have the better ideas and we can actually get them done in the Democratic Party. Like, that's what we're losing on right now. According to every bit of data and anecdotal evidence. I know anecdotal is kind of funny, but talking to voters on the ground, like, that's what the main concern with progressives is.
Jimmy's temperament. And people were using whether or not they happen to like Jimmy Dore as an argument for why they didn't want to support the floor vote. And I think that we should be able to discuss the idea, separate and apart from the person who brought it up. I wrote my article and I wanted to make sure I mentioned Jimmy because I think he deserves credit.
That's a good point to bring up, Daniel. Like, the only people that would be talking about this and relaying this information to, like, citizens would be the media. So not only do you have what's going to happen on the floor, if they force the Medicare for all vote, they would have a couple, like, brief statements on why they support it, why they're against it. People who are for it would say humans deserve healthcare or whatever. People against it would say I prefer a public option, whatever. After that, then all of this momentum, all of this reality TV show we would create, all of that shit goes right up to the top. All of that shit goes right to the media. The media can spin it in any way they want. The media has the entire narrative they can now control as a result of what we do. We don't have people in the media that are going to advocate on our behalf. So if our movement isn't growing from organizing on the ground, pressuring our own officials, and doing activism in general, I think it's going to hurt us in general. Unless if it's like a presidential debate like Bernie had. The presidential campaigns are a little bit different. One, because you could actually be on the ground with voters. Bernie Sanders created the biggest activist movement for a political campaign in a long time. And also because on the debate stage, Bernie Sanders could uninterrupted defend Medicare for All, and he did a hell of a good job doing it. But I would attribute it more to the massive people's movement, why Medicare for All actually got popular.
For starting this conversation, but at the end of the day, whether or not you support the idea,
Ben Burgess, I'm actually gonna be doing a video with him in mid-January, so you'll be seeing me talk to him. We'll have a pretty good conversation. I'm pretty sure we agree on a good amount.
Shouldn't
I did not see
depend
his video,
on.
I can put that video up real quick on let me find it. How would you suggest strategizing around the media manipulating this Medicare for All holdout vote? Because we only have a month to do that, or 20 days now. So, like, what do you suggest we do to overpower the media narrative? Like, what force do we have to prevent, Oh, yeah, I was going to look this up. 1 second. The chat delay is really long right now. I apologize. I put the wrong setting on. So I can't read your messages until, like, 20 seconds after you send them or, like, whatever. I know Erica likes this channel a lot. Let's see, where is it?
I'm Nina Turner, and I am.
Yeah, Nina Turner, let's go.
And I'm asking you to make a donation.
I can't wait till Jimmy Dore does his video. Nina Turner has been corrupted by the establishment. Nina Turner is no longer our friend. We need to primary Nina Turner because she isn't fist-fighting Nancy Pelosi on. Like, that Jimmy Dore video is going to be so funny.
More desperately than ever. It's criminal that the Democratic leadership continues to oppose it. Everyone on the left agrees with that. But to understand how the Democratic and Republican establishments can succeed in continuing to block such a basic reform, we need to avoid the dangers of volunteerism, the idea that we can achieve important political results by just wanting them badly enough. It's vitally important that we win this fight, but to do that, we need to start with a realistic understanding of why we're losing.
People on the right are getting more and more populist. By the way, if you are here and you were never here before, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button, and joining the Discord and all that fun stuff,
Nancy Pelosi has been reelected as Speaker of the House. I'd say that it had all the suspense of a Soviet election, but honestly, there was probably more factional wrangling within the Brezhnev-era power structure than at the top levels of the contemporary Democratic Party.
What?
Anyone on the left should be able to agree that Nancy Pelosi continuing to exercise any sort of power is a bad thing. But comedian and YouTube host Jimmy Dore has suggested that all of this reflects particularly badly on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that AOC should have taken the leadership vote as an opportunity to exercise some sort of leverage in a way that would advance the cause of Medicare for All. How's that work? Well, his argument is that she should have taken a tough negotiating position, demanding that Pelosi agree to schedule a vote on Medicare for All in the House of Representatives as a condition of supporting her re-election to the speakership. To hear some of Jimmy's most intense online supporters, You'd think that if AOC had done this, the result would be that Medicare for All would become law. You'd think that after years of being one of the highest profile champions of Medicare for All on the national stage, AOC was revealing herself as a hypocrite, a sellout, at just the moment when she had a chance to make it a reality.
I force politicians and corporations to bend to my will. That's what I do.
To be fair to Jimmy Dore, I don't think even he thinks that things would have played out that way. He knows it wouldn't have had the votes to pass even the House.
Dude, the margin is like 2 votes right now. The squad alone could unseat Nancy Pelosi right now. Don't you think AOC would be feared in Washington after that? Yes. When AOC commits political suicide, Washington will be shaking.
Never mind a Senate that will most likely be controlled by the GOP. His idea is this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The point that the pandemic would raise support for Medicare for All is pretty much based on, what's that thing called? It's, oh my god, I forgot the term. They're rationalizing it because they already believe Medicare for All is the right answer to our healthcare system. But if people have literally no healthcare, usually their first response is to, they want something done. So if they already think Medicare for All is unrealistic, they might not support it right now because they think a public option will be more achievable. For example, like they think Biden will, they're basing it on feels too. But like the pandemic isn't going to correlate directly to Medicare for All support. It's a complete upheaval of our entire system of insurance. And if people had more hard support, I would agree that it would drive support up. If people already thought, like, on a wide scale, oh crap, healthcare failing, that means we need Medicare for All, I would agree. Post hoc rationalization, maybe. Yeah, I need to learn all these terms. But yeah, in a different world where let's say 2016 was actually 2010, and we had 10 years since the Bernie Sanders movement, I think that's a totally different dynamic than right now. When we're like, our movement right now is a baby. We have a baby right now, and we're trying to make that baby grow up way too soon. And that's not the same as incrementalism, but it's a different approach, I guess. I don't want to go into a fight that we're going to get knocked out in, if that means we're just going to be, taking the L forever. For the pandemic, our healthcare systems wouldn't be helped at all. People who need help are probably going to get help. The capacities are not going to change whatsoever. We're not going to establish public hospitals immediately. So when it comes to reducing the death toll of the pandemic, nothing would really change with Medicare for All. With the death toll, because there's not room in general for people. The thing that Medicare for All will be more, actually, yeah, after the pandemic's over, that would be the best time to make the argument for Medicare for All. After people get screwed over with private insurance from having COVID as a pre-existing condition, after people's medical debt rises crazily from having COVID during the pandemic and having to pay for those hospital bills, like all of this stuff after the pandemic will be the perfect time to argue for Medicare for All. Right now, things are too complicated. People literally just want survival. Like, they literally just want stimulus out of Washington. So, by the way, I just learned my home state of Pennsylvania withheld. They didn't use $120 million from the freaking CARES Act. The freaking state did not distribute it correctly. So $120 million should have been given to Pennsylvania businesses and government offices and people. And, the Paycheck Protection Program. $120 million, dude. They didn't even use that shit. Oh my god, I was so mad when I read that article.
There are currently well over 100
dumbass administration problems.
Congressional co-sponsors of the Medicare for All bill. At least some of these people probably aren't serious about it. They're co-sponsoring to shore up their progressive credentials, but push came to shove, they wouldn't actually vote for it. So he thinks that having a vote would be a useful test. We'd see who was really supporting giving health care to their desperate constituents and who would ultimately side with the insurance industry. Once the battle lines were drawn, we'd know who to target. His premise is almost certainly right in some cases. I'm sure there are at least some congressional Democrats who are ready to make the gesture of symbolically supporting an important reform, but would think twice about enraging the donor class. But his idea for finding out who these people are collapses the second we start to think about it. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that AOC has enough leverage to force Pelosi to allow a vote on Medicare for All. She almost certainly does not have that kind of leverage, because why would she? It's not as if Pelosi was in a close leadership race where she desperately...
Hot take. If Bernie Sanders would not have done what he did with the Democratic Party, if Bernie Sanders would have went ballistic against the Democratic Party, Trump would still be president. There would be probably only like 4 Justice Dems in the House right now. If Bernie went ballistic, because in order for people like Jamal Bowman to win a House seat, to win a Democratic primary, for example, he needs normie Democrats. So if the movement of the progressive leader, Bernie Sanders, lashes out against the entire party, Jamal Bowman probably doesn't win his primary. Cori Bush, oh my God, she definitely doesn't win her primary. There's a good possibility she doesn't, but she's more directly tied to actual activism work and defund the police and all that great stuff down there. So that's a different case. But with like Jamal Bowman, 100%, Bernie Sanders would have really hurt progressives for state houses, for all of this shit, dude. Yeah, Bernie Sanders did what he could. Hey, thanks for the thank you for the super chat. Spencer. People keep saying public option will be crap, underfunded, and screwed with. Canada didn't start with a public option. Or did they start with a public option? I actually don't know. I have to look into that. But yeah, the public option, the issue is for an insurance plan to work, you need enough people buying into it. So, like, I'm sure you heard this before. Most of the time with how the public option probably will be administered, it can be done correctly. But what's going to end up happening because, you know, it's the United States and it's the Democratic Party pushing it. The Democrats won't make sure it runs right. But yeah, the public option will have all the poor people on it and also all of the sick people on it. So sick and poor people are going to want to buy into Medicare or the public option. The issue is you have to make the public option good enough to actually compete with private plans, or it's pointless. It won't be able to be funded, or you have to take a huge funding hit on it, which we're not going to be able to do that with our austerity. It's just going to be, it's going to demonize universal healthcare in general. But yeah, it's pretty cool. For a public option to work, it needs to be a good enough plan to make, like, say I work at, like, let's see, what's a good business example? Say I'm an accountant and I get, like, private healthcare right now, maybe in accordance with, like, a firm I work for or something. The public option needs to be good enough to get people like that to switch off their current private plan that they bought through Obamacare. So, like, you buy Obamacare in the subsidized, facilitated Obamacare off market, right? Obamacare basically facilitates a market. You buy subsidized healthcare within that market. You have to make the public option good enough that people are going to say, you know what, I want the public option government ran instead of these shitty private plans. And that usually doesn't happen.
Needed the votes of a few leftists. But whatever, let's pretend she did. When that vote happened, why would anyone who was co-sponsoring it vote against it? Assuming that these insincere co-sponsors can do basic arithmetic, they know it was perfectly safe to vote for it because if literally every single co-sponsor voted for it and they somehow conjured up another 100 votes out of thin air, it would still be defeated in the House. And that's not even mentioning the existence of the Senate or a president-elect who openly said on the campaign trail that if it did somehow pass both houses, he'd veto it. So why the hell wouldn't anyone willing to symbolically co-sponsor Medicare for All, thinking it wouldn't go anywhere, also cast a symbolic vote for Medicare for All, again, knowing that it wouldn't go anywhere? This idea makes no sense.
So Bowman ran by 13,000. He won by 13,000 votes. He won by 15%. So it was pretty good. Engels really did fall apart, didn't he? Or Engel, not Engels. Engels, whatever. Isn't that the one theorist or whatever? But Elliot Engel, oh my goodness. When he did that thing where he walked up to the one event and he said to the activist, I want this microphone so I could say something about Black Lives Matter. And he said, I'm only here because I'm running or because I need to get votes. That was such a bad hot mic for him. Holy shit.
So why are so many people in Dora's audience so willing to believe it and to denounce one of the only real solid social democrats in the House over this? The underlying disease is volunteerism, the idea that we can will important political outcomes into existence. Put a different way, volunteerism is the idea that anything is possible, regardless of the political terrain we're fighting on. And if anything is always possible, then only personal motivations explain why things happen the way they happen. Volunteerists attribute failures and losses not to larger structural factors, but to the losers having not fought hard enough to win in the first place. Rather than assessing the circumstances in which actors must make tough choices, they're instead considered to be sellouts and hypocrites. Think about the kind of leftists, they exist, I've met some, who think that Evo Morales must be a sellout because the Bolivian capitalist class wasn't expropriated during his tenure as president. Never mind that cutting off one tiny developing nation from the world economy would have been a humanitarian disaster, very quickly followed by a political disaster.
That's the political spectrum. The far left is Karl Marx and the far right is Elliot Engel.
Disaster. Now, Of course, there are moments when a particular individual does have a unique amount of leverage over the course of history. If Vladimir Lenin didn't return to Petrograd in October 1917, one could reasonably argue that the Bolshevik Revolution wouldn't have happened, and the 20th century would have looked very different. Similarly, while the American president is surely constrained in many respects, he has a far greater ability to dramatically change the course of human existence through his political choices than nearly any other actor. But
All right, I want to do a quick quiz. So these are the right value questions. So you might have heard of left values. You might have heard of a regular 8 values political test. You might have heard of a political compass test. This is for people like us, far right wingers. So the different values are cultural, economic, civil, diplomatic, political theism, technological, and societal. So reform versus conserve. So this is liberal versus conservative, in other words. The cultural left is left-wing culturally. So are you a libertarian, so you're socially left, or are you a far-right cuckoo bird? Intervention versus laissez. So this is higher intervention, and economic systems versus no intervention. Dictatorship versus constitution. We know what that means. Particular versus universal. Particular wants things as they are. Universal score, want to topple current regimes or nations for reasons of benefiting the nation or the benefit of the people internationally. Theocracy versus separation. Those with a higher theocracy score tend to want theocratic government where religious organizations make political decisions. Those with a higher separation score tend to want a separated church from state. Decelerate versus accelerate for technology. Is this that one ideology like cyberpunk? If you want to accelerate technology, you want to become, what's that called? Something technological like, oh my god, if you want to like replace your body with computer parts. Somebody's got to know that. Oh yeah, good night, Daniel. But yeah, decelerate or accelerate. Race versus equality. Good. The right values test. Culturally right-wing parties generally fits my views. Should I answer this like for real or for like transhumanism? Yes. Yes, humanism. Thank you, thank you. So I might answer this correctly, right? Cultural right-wing parties generally fits my views. So let's answer this like Tulsi Gabbard, okay? Let's pretend we're Tulsi Gabbard when we're answering this question. All right, so what would Tulsi Gabbard say? If you ask Tulsi Gabbard, do culturally right-wing parties fit your views? Strongly agree. Slowly improving society by changing it a little bit over time is the best way to run it. Disagree. Crackdown on pornography is oh yeah, strongly agree. Weed should be legalized. Yep. Legalization of abortion is beneficial. What does... Oh, yeah. Tulsi came out against abortion, right? In general. She came out against choice. So, strongly disagree. The negatives of rapid reform outweighs its positives. Disagree. More effort needs to be done to preserve our culture. Oh, yeah. Tradition holds back societies. No way. Our tradition is only the best. Reforming in a quick manner often leads to the worsening of people's... Oh my god, no. You can never advance too quickly to the promised state of our land bestowed upon by God. Wait, did I just... Wait. Nope. I disagree. Yeah, what would Tulsi actually say? What is she doing right now? This is pretty cool, right? Nazbol Tulsi. Where's her other bills at, though? This is good, right? Repeal Patriot Act. This is the thing about...
I just want to take a moment to talk to you about Title IX.
The trans women in sports, right? Yeah, that's it. And she did the one abortion bill, I'm pretty sure. Where's that at? Tulsi Gabbard introduces bill to block abortion of fetuses capable of feeling pain. What length does that usually mean into a pregnancy? 20th week of pregnancy. Pro-life groups in America announced the bill ensure medical care to babies born alive after attempted abortion. Huh. Okay. Isn't everybody against late-term abortion? I'm really curious because isn't 20 weeks usually the tentative cutoff line for abortions? Or am I wrong? Because I feel like when the my personal opinion on that changed over the years, like you shouldn't be able to do it once the baby forms a certain amount of cognitive ability or something. So is that different from what Democrats usually say for abortions? I don't know. But the idea that she's doing all this stuff before she's forced out, is a little bit weird, isn't it? She doesn't need to do this unless if she has future political ambitions. Yeah, she's setting her agenda in a very particular way. She could be a right-wing host. They will like her. She can literally do a show doing exactly what Tucker Carlson says. But, like, as a woman who used to be a progressive. She can make a lot of money doing that. Economic populism, social conservatism. Didn't Dore defend her M4 I take? By the way, I'm probably going to hop off then. But Jimmy Dore, Tulsi. I can't find it. There was a video of Jimmy Dore protecting.
He just turned on you. Took to let him see through you.
It was him screaming at AOC but defending Tulsi when Tulsi didn't support Medicare for All. Jimmy Dore, Tulsi, M4A. Nope, that's not going to help me. Dave Rubin, baby. I love myself some Dave Rubin. How's he doing lately? What's your view of AOC? Is this a populist, socially libertarian, economically left, Second Amendment, anti-imperialist, UBI, free speech, aspiring, independent, bisexual? What's your view of AOC? Negative, 34%. Neutral, 33%. Positive, 31%. If you have a negative view of AOC as a leftist or whatever, you're either a I don't know, is that a bad word? I don't know what that means. Rube, who is never serious about politics, or you've been duped by a moron like Jimmy Dore, who endorsed Tulsi over Bernie, even though she was against Medicare for All. Tulsi supports Medicare for All. She did not support the actual bill Medicare for All. She supported the Australian model I talk about a lot, the two-tier system. Yeah, it might have been 2019. Anonymity. Sorry, I'm not smart. I don't know words. I know how to say that word. I'm just having a brain fart right now. Used to be positive, now it's neutral but leaning negative. I'm sure you'll give me this. Oh my god, dude. Used to be positive, now it's negative. That's freaking pathetic, honestly. Now it's neutral with a slight leaning. So Jimmy Dore just, disengaged activism from helping AOC now. That's all he accomplished out of this push. That's good, right? That's good. Good stuff. Oh god. He's literally gonna push for martial law. If the military would do a military coup of any sense to force us to do to do our election again, Trump's gonna do it. If he has any route to do it, he's gonna try it. So be prepared.
It was a total hoax. It was rigged. It's what I call the big fix, and that's what it was, the big fix. Look, I was up by a lot, okay? And then late at night, in some of these counties, they had a massive dump, okay? A massive dump. And I'm not talking about Chris Christie after eating at a buffet. I'm talking about truckloads of ballots, illegal ballots, coming through the ceiling and coming in through leather briefcases. And it's horrible what they've done, and it's a disgrace. And we're looking to get it overturned. And if it doesn't get overturned, well, I'll be back in 2024. And I'm going to turn so many states red that our map will look like Russia. Well, everybody knows the election was a total hoax. It was rigged.
Do you think activism causes change? Yes, I think we all agree. I think we literally all agree that, Bob Dubiano. We all agree activism causes change. I guess we disagree on, like, what we should be doing right now, though. This guy? Is this him?
We're doing tremendously, okay? Nobody can compete with what we were doing, okay? And then one day, 7 months ago, this horrible thing floated
Look at
in.
that double chin, too. He has that double chin. That little trumping in double chin.
Tried to float it in. It's the virus, the germ. I call it the germ. Maybe we could call it the scourge, right? Or as I call it, the invisible enemy, It's vicious. It's totally vicious. You can't see it, but it's vicious. And if you could see it, it would look like Nancy Pelosi. That is horrible, right? And we call it the China flu, right? The China flu. They don't like when I say that, you know that. They don't like when I call it the China flu. And I say, why? It came from China, right? It came from China. I just want to state the truth. It came from China. They unleashed a gift to the world. And it's horrible. It's in 188 countries, including the shitholes. It's everywhere. And it's terrible what's happening, right? You see what's happening around the world. It's horrible. And now they've got this horrible surge in Europe. And it's terrible. They said to me when it came in, they said the China flu. I said, where did it come from? They said it came from a wet market, which I never heard of. I thought it was the name of a strip club. And then they said, no, it came from a lab in Wuhan, which I now call...
That's pretty good. That's not bad. Pretty funny.
Well, everybody knows the election was a total...
Saw this one already.
This is the president, and this message is for Joyce and David.
Oh, you could buy these. What did Pat Toomey do now? Screw Pat Toomey. What did he do now? Fight over Fed. Conservative when convenient. Yeah, basically. He's saying a rally means M4A is popular because a rally for public option didn't happen when then ignored polls. This is why the left can't win. Yeah, it's like big crowd excitement. That means it's really popular. That means a really small subsection, a usually fringe group, believes in the same thing, but what does constant activism have to do with what you want AOC to do? Nothing about what AOC is doing right now prevents anybody from doing constant activism. But by the way, anybody who is not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. We went up 3 subscribers during this stream. No, but when it comes to Democratic voters, that's who the politicians care about. They care about getting reelected. If voters favor a public option in general, and by the way, activists who are usually young people makes up a very small part of the electorate. Young people don't vote. Maybe if young people actually gave a shit and voted. The people who are involved are super involved, but not enough. Alright, how do I get out of this? No, it's all right. Oh yeah, I'm on both platforms. Where are you from, Zeander on Twitch? Zeander? Yeah, you can see the numbers up here. There's way more people on Twitch, obviously. Oh, is it Trump supporter? Cool. Let's see, how do I do this? Okay, I just had to ban somebody. And in Twitch. No, voters see Medicare for All as impossible to actually get done, and they see public option as a possible way to get things to improve. And progressives need to prove to them that they can get shit done, and that it's going to be better than the current insurance. Those are the two biggest issues right now with selling Medicare for All. Number one is convincing people Medicare for All is going to be better than their current insurance, and also number two, convincing people we can actually get it done. The other people are already convinced. Yep, we won that battle, but yeah, Twitch is popping off. No, there's like five on there. Public option is more popular than Medicare for All right now. We should be pushing Medicare for All. That's what I'm saying. Brie Joy Gray is pushing for stopping the activism and organizing surrounding Medicare for All. And instead, she wants to take an institutional politician approach with political pressure, waging political power we don't have. I want to continue the activism because we're not there yet. I'm being the pro-revolutionary. You're being anti-revolutionary right now, friend. You want the things to you want to give up our movement to the political process and to the media? I don't want to do that. I don't trust the media. I don't know why you people like the media so much. Like, come on. All of a sudden, after all we've been through, now you trust the media. I don't get it. You love the media. You listen to whatever they say. Like, whoa, they're going to cover our Medicare for All vote that we lose by 500 votes. Very, 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 very fairly. Of course. Oh my god, I can't wait till people watch this back and they see the part where I said Kyle Kalinske hates Bernie Sanders and they comment, why did I say that? But they don't actually wait for my explanation of why I said that. And I was saying that hyperbolically, but people are going to freak out about it because I forgot when you're on the internet recording yourself, you have to be perfect or you're dumb. If you're not perfect when you're talking to a camera, then you're obviously just stupid. That's how the internet works. But, public option doesn't pull way better. The difference is usually pretty negligible margins, and public option support only increases when polls imply Medicare for All will cost you more money. It doesn't pull way better. Okay, it doesn't pull way better. You are correct. They pull around the same numbers. The public option pulls a little bit better. Where public option really takes over is when the two policies have to compete with each other. Medicare for All and the public option competing, more Democratic voters choose a public option as of right now. And we have to win that battle in like a 70 to 30 margin. We can't have like 70% soft support for our policy. We need a majority strong support and whatever. Wait, what is Zeander? Zeander was in Twitch and he wait, what? Yeah, but it's whatever. 54 people still here. I'm sure some of you are in the backlog of the beginning of the stream, but thank you for watching. Pat, come over to YouTube chat. I'm not responding to you if you're on Twitch, okay? I'm not. I don't seem to trust the left media. What do you mean? I don't watch left media. Why would I quote it if I don't know about it? I don't really quote news stories in general. I go off polls and stuff. I don't usually just like read news stories. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Zeander I banned on Twitch. I don't know if he was memeing on Twitch. or whatever. I thought he was gonna start like yelling the N-word or something. So I blocked him. Or is Deandre a progressive who just pretended to be a crazy Trump supporter on my Twitch? That is possible too. But, I mean, it's improbable. Alright, I have nothing else to look at. If I did have something else to look at tonight, I would. But I'd rather save it for this week in general. I'm gonna try to stream a couple nights this week. I'm not good at streaming. I'm sorry. But I'm gonna try. Yeah, we need to convince normies. Normies, dude. We gotta speak to the common man. No more of this freaking... You gotta stop talking to people who pay attention to politics so much. Most people wake up, they go to bed, they don't think about politics once. They see different advertisements for different healthcare plans, and it's your job to change their minds. Yeah, Trump had bigger rallies, therefore he won the presidency, right? 6 viewers on Twitch is pretty cool. All-time high. Right, but majority or voters aren't what causes political change. Literally, gay marriage was passed the second that public opinion turned towards gay marriage. Literally the instant gay marriage was passed. That's what happened. Public opinion turned towards it. And the civil rights movement was passed in a time where many Democrats were in favor of it. That's how the strategy played out. JFK and LBJ and the Democrats would get the black vote plus the non-that racist Democratic vote. That was based on public opinion too and voters. The Civil Rights Act was only passed because Democrats could survive politically because of it. And with outside pressure at the same time. Oh my god. What else? Marijuana legalization started passing in different states when public opinion changed towards it. We could say a lot of things. Yeah, sorry. Twitch went down like right when I said that. It went back down to 3. So I can be an affiliate on Twitch now if I want to. If I fill out the paperwork. I just didn't do it yet. There's no reason for me to. I'm not going to make money on ad revenue. Literally, ad revenue on YouTube is so bad. That's why you people, you crazy people, our patrons and stuff, are keeping me alive. Yeah, let's see what percentage of voters are different age groups. What percentage of voters by age groups? No, the paperwork, yeah, I mean, I would get like 20 cents every like 2 years if I did that. So voter turnout demographics. I had these too from my job I had. Here we go. Zoom in. Oh, I gotta show it. So this is turnout rates based on age. This isn't the total vote though, I don't think. No, it's not. But what percentage of people at each age category do vote? Turnout rates by education. You're more likely to vote if you are. Now, what Trump did is he took these less than high school degree people right here, and he drove that turnup up. I wish I had a graph that showed more of what that would show, but Election week 2020, young people increased turnout. Young people lead Biden to victory. 52 to 55% of youth voted in 2020. That's a lot. Oh, come on. How much of electorate are different age groups? Just show me. Age groups. Ooh. Yeah, when people say the working class voted for Trump, they are talking about the white working class. That's why I think Kyle Kalinske might be a class reductionist. I just want to see the electorate, dude. I can't find it anywhere. Hispanics made up 13% of eligible voters. 1 in 10 eligible voters will be members of Generation Z. Eligible voters. So 1 in 10 voters are born after 1996. Which is higher than all time. It's what okay. I'll find this then. Yeah, but my oh yeah. You don't need to make everything about race. That's not what I'm saying, dude. Oh my god. You can put it into the equation of when you evaluate how things happen in elections, though. What I do is a lot of background stuff. It's a lot of polling. It's a lot of like demographics. You judge how that affected the result. It's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't actually like say to people. Like you could tell when I'm trying to craft an argument in a way that's going to help people because I say it. I literally say, this is how I'm going to present this argument when I see a normie person. All right, that's the point of this channel. But when I come to those conclusions, I come to those conclusions taking things into account like race, like class background, like party identification, like public polling. I take all these things into account. So when Kyle Kalinske does his show, he's doing analysis of like how elections are going. And he's saying that Kyle Kalinske is saying like the elections turn out this way because of this reason. And he is basically leaving out race in that equation 100%. 100%. He is saying like Trump won the working class with his populist economic message, when in reality he's only really talking about the white working class. So when I say he's class reductionist, he doesn't take, you know, the values of like race into those into account when talking about his analysis. Yeah, you can talk about class and race at the same time. Yeah, activism is different from pragmatism, too. Or, like, not pragmatism, but, like, what I'm doing. I made that point pretty clear the other day. Oh, hey, thank you. Thank you, Spencer. That's awesome. I like your name. I don't know what that means. Are you a gamer? Is that like a gamer name? It looks like one. What strategy are you talking about? If the strategy doesn't involve you, C. What are you going to say? I am on the edge of my seat. I'm talking about what we should do as activists. We are pushing for, we are pushing for Medicare for all. We all agree on that. The point we're disagreeing on is the focus of like activism, right? It's not, we all agree we should be pushing for Medicare for all. But the point is we're saying that we need more time to switch public opinion before we do something like force a vote. Because we don't have that necessary political capital yet. I'm pretty sure Spencer is saying we shouldn't advocate for it in your way right now. I don't think Spencer said we shouldn't advocate for Medicare for all at all. I'm not sure that's what he or what they said. I don't know if it's he, but another subscriber. I probably won't hit 4,000 before the new year, but I think 3,500 is achievable. I don't think he said activism doesn't work. I think you're having a misunderstanding of like, you're saying activism is the method of all political change. That's what you're saying. You're saying public opinion doesn't matter at all. And Spencer is saying that he isn't saying that activism isn't a part of it, but he's saying that the other parts are important too. Yeah, we probably wouldn't be talking about M4A without the ACA. That is true. Progress does build on top of each other sometimes. Although it may seem like in history, like big change happened overnight, like with a big revolution or something, but usually there's a lot of other factors that lead into it. Like, I'm surprised how much I found out about the civil rights movement when I finally looked into like every in and out of it, you know. Yeah, I'm at 3,437 subs right now. Yeah, Spencer's not saying activism doesn't matter. He's saying you have a misunderstanding of where public opinion is, because you think it's only rallies and stuff. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna go to the sleep world. Everybody have a good rest of your night. Thank you for joining me for another stream. I think we capped out at, let's see, how many viewers did we hit? So concurrent viewers capped out at 69, which is good. That's another leg up. So I've been averaging 50 a night. Now it's at 69. We're at 50 right now, just hanging out again. So shout out to y'all for coming and chilling. I'll try to find other content for this week. I just decided to stream about this tonight. But I'll probably do like every other day or every 3 days if I can. I should be doing more stuff after Christmas as well because it'll be like not the holidays. People are pretty busy right now when it comes to other content creators. Like, so the 3 people that are 100% going to happen are Ben, Burgess, whatever, Denims, Book Smarts. Those 3 are going to happen. What's Bothering Me? I'm going to do another video with him. That one's going to happen as well. But the 3 other people I didn't work with yet. So those 3 are going to be really fun. I'm excited for those. I want to start doing those stupid, not stupid, but those, I don't know why I said stupid as a descriptive word for it, but those debate panel shows. I guess they are kind of stupid though. But those debate panel shows, like what happens in them is often stupid. But I think that'd be fun to go on one of those, but I never get invited, so I'll wait until I get invited to one. I won't be rude and ask my way in. All right. Good night.